All right, so last week I was speaking with Laura Patricelli, my personal graphic designer, and I decided to split the show into 2 parts because it got a little long. So in this episode, episode 25 of the Webinar Hustlers Entrepreneur Podcast, you're going to listen to the conclusion of that show right now. You're listening to April Reed, and enjoy, and let's get this thing going.
Want to work less and sell more? Welcome to the Webinar Hustlers Entrepreneur Podcast, the podcast to help you scale up and take your business to the next level with webinars that sell for you. Each episode focuses on the money mindset, online marketing, and sales strategies to get you more leads and convert leads to sales, all with webinars. And now your host, business and webinar strategist, April Reed.
Before we get into photos, I just wanted to make sure I heard you right. We were talking about being consistent and maybe your colors aren't completely the same brand. This has been something that I've even wondered about is, so if I'm creating some type of content, maybe it's a slide deck, and I have my 5 fonts that I use in my branding, is it okay to exchange one of those colors for another color that may not particularly be in my brand, but it meshed well? And I think I heard you said that that's okay as long as it looks good.
Oh, yeah. As long as it looks like it's in the same sort of family.
Okay.
Because you don't want clashing colors used across your brand, even if they're used for different products. You want all of the colors to go together well, but it's totally fine for you to use different colors for different products or programs or promotional funnels or whatever. That's totally fine because you do want them to kind of stand out from the rest of your brand, especially if you've been in business a while and you already have a recognizable brand. Then infusing is a good word, infusing that new unique color will help to let that offering or webinar stand out from the rest of your brand. That's a good thing to keep in mind while you're playing with those fonts and colors.
Yeah. Okay, so you were talking about photos, and I'm glad you're going to talk about it. I wasn't sure if you're going to talk about photos or not, but I do know that another freebie you had that I used to help when I did my professional photos last year was really, really helpful. But I don't want to jump the gun. So whatever you were going to talk about photos with, I'm glad you brought it up.
I'm not going to spend too much time talking about professional lifestyle photos because those are more a part of your overall brand experience and are way more important when you're building a sales page or your website. If anybody's interested in hearing what I have to say or seeing what I have to say on the subject of having professional, beautiful lifestyle photos that are really easy to work with for your website and any sort of promotional materials, I encourage you to download my freebie guide, which can be found in the show notes or at designmastermind.nyc/photo-shoot. So that way you can kind of go to that link and see what I have to say on that subject, because it's really important for you to invest in your photo shoot. And I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about spending time figuring out exactly the feel that you're going for, where your photos are taken, what colors you're wearing, what poses, any other people that you need to incorporate. All these things need to be considered when you're investing in a lifestyle photo shoot, even if it's just your husband or close friend with a quality camera. You really need to put a lot of focus into it. But in terms of creating a webinar slide deck, a lot of what you're going to be looking for is stock photos that specifically relate to the topic of your webinar, because your webinar is most likely going to be about something that is not your face. Of course, you're going to want to use your professional photos, especially at the beginning and end of your webinar, to, again, solidify you as the go-to expert and give people an example of why you're professional and what you look like, make it more personal. But other than that, you're going to be searching out quality stock photos to use for your webinar. Having any sort of clip art or stock photos available in your webinar deck is super important. Again, it triggers that visual memory that women specifically are more geared towards. So if your audience is women, then you want to have as many images in there as possible. Of course, not so much that it's distracting,
Right.
but it really does make a big difference in the quality of your engagement and whether people are listening and following along.
Right. Love that. Love that. And so, yeah, I've used stock photos before. Where I like to go is Fortolia.com.
Oh yeah, Fotolia is great.
Yeah, yeah. And I kind of just want to go off the record here and talk about my experience with you, Laura, because people that know me know I'm a DIYer and I love doing things myself. I love building my own websites. I love creating my own designs. But I actually found you last year and I was building my website on my own and trying to build a new coaching business at the same time and working a job. And I just had a baby. And just time wise, it was not working out. And for the longest time, I was thinking, I wish I could just give somebody my website to build for me. But then that little voice behind my head was like, well, that's ridiculous. Why would you spend money on that? And you could just do it yourself. So for the longest time, I was really in my head and I talked to you. I saw all your examples. I loved your style. It kind of resembled things that I like in my style. And so I am just happy that I trusted you and I trusted myself. Actually, that's where it started. Me trusting myself to let go and give this huge project to somebody that, like I said before, is their zone of genius. I guess I just brought that up just to say if there's anybody out there that's thinking, I can do this and I can do that. And if it's a huge project like your webinar slide deck, which is something that could earn you thousands and thousands of dollars, you might want to look into outsourcing if you're not a designer yourself, outsourcing that project or maybe outsourcing your website. Especially even if you are a designer, maybe you just don't have time. Because like me, I'm a perfectionist and I would design something, then I would change it. And then I would design it again and then change it. And it's like, this is a huge, crazy emotional roller coaster. So yeah. And you're also, well, you've done so much. You even done my podcast graphic, which I was trying to do myself. And then I'm like,
yeah,
screw this. Laura, help.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I love creating long-term client relationships.
Yes.
And really what it comes down to, and of course, people wanting to do their website themselves, especially using all the tools that are available now, that's my biggest objection that I get. But if you assign a dollar value to the hours that you spend building a website when that is not even your forte and you have to learn an entire interface,
right,
instead of just having somebody do it for you and then teach it to you.
Right.
The experience is so much smoother and more enjoyable, and it lasts a lot longer. One of the biggest complaints I get from clients is that they either spent hours and hours, like way too much time doing it themselves. So they have this sunk costs anxiety around, oh, well, I already put the time and effort in, so now I just have to use it. Or they spend like $500 to $1,000 on a novice designer and they absolutely hate themselves afterwards because they think, oh, well, there's more sunk costs and now I have to just redo it as soon as I get the money anyway. So instead of having to redo your website or your slide deck later, I always promote just doing it right the first time around, and outsourcing is the way to do that. Outsourcing to a professional who can learn about you and know what your tastes are, so that when that person goes into designing and creating these materials, they are designing on behalf of you. They're using their own skills to create something that is absolutely perfect for you as an individual. So it's not like you're paying to have that run-of-the-mill template designed. You're paying to have a unique, creative piece of promotional material that stands out in people's minds. and does all the things that the 3 C's are promoting.
Right. And again, just to know that that's not the best use of, well, it wasn't the best use of my time. It wasn't a revenue generating activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Exactly. Your time is better focused on building your business and
right.
managing your clients.
Right, right. And so, like, even last year, I started working on this business planner. And I think that's like the entrepreneurial curse, just having tons and tons of ideas and projects and hardly finishing any of them. But anyway, I started this business planner and I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to pass the buck onto a designer. And obviously, I contacted you, Laura, like, help me with my business planner. So that's something that she's working right now to help me create this new quarterly business planner. And hopefully it will be ready and for everybody in December. And so hopefully by the time this podcast is available, it will be ready for the world to lay its eyes on. I'm really excited about it too.
Oh,
I can't wait.
I'm so excited too. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And I would like to just real quick, before we close out the podcast, I just wanted to let all of your listeners know that I'm offering you $100 off my introductory branding and my introductory branding package, which is a logo design, icon design, social media banner created for you in Canva, color palettes, fonts, all decided. And you can then put that investment towards a larger website or sales page project further down the line. So you take $100 off now and $500 off later. You really can't lose. And it's a good way to start a relationship with a professional designer, me, without having to drop $3,000 on a website.
Wow, that is a great, great deal. So, okay. You have this offer. If anybody had any question or to talk about that offer even more and discuss maybe their next graphic design needs or maybe like their slide deck, how can they get in touch with you?
So I have an intake form where you can book a call on my calendar and we can talk about your next project. We can talk about your business goals and how I can best work with you and your budget to create some beautiful designs. And you can go to designmastermind.nyc/new client. And I'm going to be putting that link in the footnotes, or April will be putting that link in the footnotes as well.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Okay, awesome. So thank you so much, Laura, for being on the show. I really loved it. I think my audience, and including myself, got some really awesome tips and tricks on how we can better our slide deck and just really design in general. Because I think, design is just something that goes all across the board. It doesn't have to be specifically just for webinars. So this has been quite fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on, April. I really appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. That was so good. Such a good show. Such good information. So if you're ready to start designing your webinar slide deck, and actually the advice and the nuggets that we received on this episode and the episode just last week applies to all your branding, your social media, your website, everywhere. So you definitely probably want to listen to both episodes a couple of times while you're doing your branding for your website and particularly your webinar, because it was such good advice from a branding and web design professional. Now, I just want to say to all my DIYers, I feel you because I'm with you. I'm just like you. I feel like if I can do it myself, why not? Plus, it's fun. But I want to say that your title slide is the most important slide in your entire webinar presentation. So, DIYers, please outsource a professional graphic designer to at least design your title slide, because that is the first impression. That is what hooks your audience when they attend your webinar, or especially if you use that exact same title slide in all your promos on social media and your emails and elsewhere. So at least outsource your title slide to a professional graphic designer And if you're pressed for time, because like I mentioned before, I should have been worried about my revenue generated activities, not creating the design for this and that. So more importantly, if you don't have the time and trying to come up with a awesome slide deck is taking days and weeks, well, don't let it take days and weeks. Find a graphic designer. Talk to Laura. How you can get in touch with her is www.designmastermind.nyc is her website. But if you want to book a call to just have a discussion about your next sales page or website product or your own webinar slide deck, then you can reach her at designmastermind.nyc/new-client. You don't have to remember all that. All you really have to remember is just go to www.aprilreed.com/25 and all her links will be there. I'm also going to link the quiz that was discussed last week and the photo shoot guide, which is awesome because when I do my new photo shoot, yes, I'm gonna do like a redo in a couple of months. I'm definitely going to use that photo shoot design because it's just so awesome. Oh, and before I get off, we mentioned a business planner that Laura was creating for me. I am excited to say that it is finished, it is available, and I am also going to provide access to that business planner in the show notes as well. And just remember that Laura is the one who designed it. She is so fantastic. She has a great personality. I love all her designs. I love everything about her. And I look forward to continuing this graphic design relationship in the future. That's all I have for now. If you have any questions, like always, post them in the comments and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Webinar Hustlers Entrepreneur Podcast at www.aprilreed.com.